I am Sean Agostini from Veritech Trinidad Limited. We are an MSP operating in Trinidad primarily, and we operate in the small and medium-sized business space. Um, we've been in business for about going on 15 years, I think, next year. And we support currently around 40 or so businesses. We provide basically an IT department for those businesses. I have two primarily wishes for, and this is more generally for the country. The first thing is to make doing business in Trinidad easier. It is immensely difficult. They just seem to put more and more obstacles in the way of getting things done and getting it done quickly. And even when things are put into place to either put it online or simplify a process, it just is so ridiculously cumbersome that it does not help. And I could use a very simple example. I have a registered company in Canada, and to do my annual return, it takes me about a minute and 30 seconds every year. It's done online. It costs me $12 Canadian to do it. Whereas in Trinidad, it is just the amount of hoops and forms that you have to fill out. It is just absolutely ridiculous. Oh, for sure. But I mean, I'm just picking on that particular kind of low line fruit. That just runs throughout everything. Banking sector is equally as difficult. You want to open a new facility with a bank that you've banked with for, you know, 10, 15 years or whatever it is. You still have to fill out every single form and start over as if it's the first time you've ever seen them.
Right.
And that's all FIC regulations. It's just ridiculously cumbersome, and everything takes a lot longer than it should take, you know. And in small businesses like mine, what I suppose some of the bigger companies don't understand is that business owners like myself have to do all of these forms and stuff ourselves. We don't have people to delegate these cumbersome things to. We do everything as a small business owner. So when you have all these things that take 4 and 5 times as long as they could take, it just hinders business in general, and you just can't get as much stuff done on a daily basis that you would want to typically. My second wish list, and I think this is probably on everybody's own, is for the government to admit, first of all, that there is a foreign exchange issue and to actually do something about it. It's the draconian measures that are in place now that hinders businesses that do not have the connections required to get foreign exchange on a regular basis is just obscene. And I'll give you a simple example that I've tried multiple banks in Trinidad, and it's the same across the board. Is if you open a U.S. bank account in Trinidad, and you put money in that bank account, there's no guarantee you could get that money out at any particular time. And I've had situations where I have wire transfers to do, and they break down those wire transfers into multiple wire transfers, each one costing me, bank charges, just because that the money that's in my US account is not available to me. Again, that is really, really unacceptable, and it causes businesses to do things they're not supposed to do. So I'm hedging a bet that 99% of companies that are in the small business sector commingle their personal credit card with their business credit card. Just the only way to get things done. The first one, in all honesty, they are between a rock and a hard place, because evidently we have a fairly corrupt population, and as a result, they have to put all of these many obstacles in everybody's way in order to make sure that corrupt practices are not being exercised. How to manage that, I couldn't say off the top of my head, but I just know it's insanely difficult and not getting any easier to do business in Trinidad. The second one, I'm not an economist. I mean, off the top of my head, I would say float the dollar, which is what they did in Jamaica. And you talk to any Jamaican businessman, there's no problem to get US dollars. You just have to pay whatever the exchange rate is. I think that's the way to do it. But again, I'm not an economist, so I couldn't say that with any type of authority. On the other topic of crime, quite frankly, I think they're focusing in the wrong place. The reason why there's crime in Trinidad is because the general education level is so low. And they will argue that, of course, saying that, we have free education and everybody knows how to read and write. But it's not just about reading and writing. It's about creating opportunity for people in schools going forward. And I think, quite frankly, that it's done purposely to make the populace more controllable. And that's what I think about it. I think if you educate people better, and then they have better choices because of their education, and that could be, just in what they do in their daily life, or better choices in choosing, governments and such, or even holding our governments accountable.